really excited about this weekend. Obviously, hey, I know our guys have been looking for another opportunity to compete against this team. So looking forward to being at home field and great atmosphere. So I'll go ahead and open it up from there.
The one more from last game, the touchdown to DJ that obviously everyone's been talking about. We've seen videos everywhere. Curious, what was your conversation like with Caleb on Monday, just watching that play in terms of that throw and just everything that came together for it?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say on that. It's one I know on the sideline. I was probably vocal on the headset saying, no, yeah. But those are the good ones, and I think that's what the really good quarterbacks do, and he was able to find his guy and gave him a good ball, and I really feel like it was us or nobody, it was DJ was ball to go get down, and had we not been able to connect, I think it would have been incomplete. So I think Caleb was smart with it, and I think that's what he does a great job of. It's really been for a year and a half now since he's been in the NFL. He does a great job making sure he doesn't turn that ball over.
And where specifically has Caleb progressed beyond your expectations?
Well, yeah, I think this is a long journey that we have up in front of us, and so we're trying to make as many strides as we possibly can right now. From the springtime all the way up until this point, and it's a continual basis. It's not going to stop. It's going to continue to go on, and he'll be a lot better off a year from now than he is here and now, and he'll be a lot better off 5 years from now than he'll be a year from now. And so that's a continual growth process, and I think he understands that. I'm just really excited about getting the basics down of this offense. I think the pre-snap procedure is something we've been harping on for a long time, and that's really started to come to light. And I think it's unlocked a lot of elements of the shifts, the motions, the cadence, the things of this offense that we want to do to attack defenses. And so that's a starting point. The more reps he gets on every single concept, the game's starting to slow down for him. And so that's encouraging to see. He's throwing some of these in-breakers with anticipation, which I think is a tough thing for young quarterbacks to do at times. And so he's trusting what he's seeing, and he's delivering accurate balls.
You guys talked last week about getting him off to a fast start. He starts 0 for 3 and then 5 in a row with some pretty good chunks there. What unlocked him on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. The part of the 0 for 3 was a drop, so it wasn't I thought he was throwing the ball well throughout pregame, and I thought that carried us into the game. So he played really well.
You had talked before about how he's not the kind of quarterback that you necessarily go, oh, let's give him 3 easy throws and get him in a rhythm. Have you found kind of a way that you think gets him into the game the way you want?
We're working through that, yeah. And I mean, sometimes they're the simpler variety. Other times we're going to be aggressive, and he embraces that. He, like I told you last week, he says, you call it and I'll make it work. And he has a lot of confidence in himself. That's a big part of what we do in that pregame routine, is making sure that, the first series isn't a warm-up series. We're starting hot. We talk about offensive philosophy-wise, 65 to 70 bullets in a game, and we can't afford to waste any of those plays just trying to get the engine started. We got to start off guns a-blazing, and I think he really embodies that mentality.
How does playing the same opponent twice in 3 weeks impact your preparation, and how much do you enjoy the challenge of that cat and mouse game?
Yeah, I think anytime you play a team in the division, there's certainly elements you look at from the first game of what you did well, what you didn't do well, and you try to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes, and try to continue to attack them in a certain fashion. And so there are things that I thought we did well that first game, particularly in the second half. We played a lot better on offense in that regard. So I mean, they're changing, right? They got Micah's out, and so you're trying to forecast what they might do to match certain personnel groups, or slow down our run game, and that's a difficult thing to do when that injury happened last game. So we got to be prepared to adjust and play accordingly.
Ben, you used a bully at least a couple of times against the Browns, the bully play with the two tight ends. What's the origin of that play and what makes it work against the defense?
The two tight ends in the three back alignment. Yeah. Well, the origin was going against Green Bay the first time, and having those edge rushers, and so we had both those guys in the backfield to deliberately look to chip those edges and slow down those D ends, and so that was the starting point. We've only done it for a couple weeks now, and like I said, each week's its own story. Whether we use that again this week or we want to go a different direction, remains to be seen.
What were you able to take away, if you were willing to share with it, from the Broncos' victory last weekend over Green Bay?
Say it again.
Broncos, what they did right that might be useful in terms of preparing for this game.
Yeah, no, I think, they competed throughout. It's a very difficult team to play. They fell behind, and yet they were resilient and found a way to come through there in the second half. It wasn't a whole lot not like our story the week before, where Green Bay got a lead and Denver was able to come back and capitalize on the injury situation and had a little momentum. I thought the quarterback played really well for them. Made some big time throws. Sutton made some big time catches down the field and got after their corners a little bit. And so, there are some elements that we'd love to take and replicate ourselves.
And you said at the beginning, Caleb's done a great job not turning the ball over. I think he just set the record for fewest interceptions to start a career. How have you seen him toe the line of still being very aggressive and also making sure he doesn't put the ball in harm's way?
I haven't had to say a whole lot. He's done that throughout training camp and up to this point in the season. I just think that's who he is. He understands where he feels like he can fit a ball into, and he's got a unique skill set just in terms of how hard he can throw that football. And so some windows that may not seem open to the rest of us, they are still open to him because he's able to get that ball in there. And so he's got a good feel for that. He's been playing this sport for a long time. It's what the good Lord has called him to do, and he's kind of grown up that way. And so, I don't think there's a whole lot of coaching in terms of telling him who's open and who's not. I think he's naturally got a good feel of that.
What do you guys look at when you try to get a sense of what they may look like without Micah? Do you go to last year? How do you kind of get a sense of how different it will?
You guys are trying to get the game plan this week. We look at everything, and that's where being in the division last year certainly helps because you've seen all that tape from Halfley's defense a year ago and went against them a couple times last year. And there's elements of that you take into account. But at this point of the season, it's a really good football team and really good defense. And I know you kind of lock in on one player because he does garner a lot of your attention when you go against that defense, and yet they have some high caliber players throughout on the defensive line, linebacking core, and on the back end. And so just because one player goes down doesn't mean that this is going to change a whole lot for them. They play relentless football. They pursue. They have a ton of team speed. The linebackers are thumpers. If you ask your backs to pick them up in protection one too many times, then they're going to find a way to get to your quarterback. They do a great job of that. And so throughout, we got a tall task at hand, and I know everyone wants to make it about the one particular player, but this is a very good defense, regardless of who's on the field for them.
And when you came in, you talked about your belief in DeAndre Swift and why he could be in this offense. What's allowed him to have the success that he's had so far this season in this system and really leading the way for this rushing game?
Well, I think it starts with him. He's really embraced what we're trying to do. He's got some familiarity with the running style that we need from that running back position. It's taken a little bit of time just for the O-line and the backs to all get on the same page. But since the bye week, I feel like we've been unified and everyone understands what the intent is. And so that's a starting point for him. I think Eric Bieniemy's doing a phenomenal job with all those backs. He takes a lot of pride in finishing. He takes a lot of pride in playing physical football. Takes a lot of pride in pass protection, all the things that I think a good running back coach embody. That's what Eric Bieniemy's about. And so that certainly augments the rest of those guys in that room. And so I think Swifty's taken to that. He's very disciplined on his landmarks, probably the most disciplined I've seen him be since he's been in his career now, just staying right on the track and trusting the blocking up front and helping set up some of those blocks. I think we saw last week him take that game to the next level where he's able to make some of those tackles on the second and third level miss and become really explosive big gains for us. And so that's what he's always had in his body, and that's what we'll continue to need from here on out.
You talked last week about how you guys desperately needed that win against Cleveland. Just what's sort of the message to the guys going into a game with potentially the NFC North?
Yeah, there doesn't need to be much of a message here this week. They know what's at stake.
You mentioned the atmosphere after the game Sunday night. You just mentioned it again. How much can fans impact the game, and what would be your message to them in terms of making it?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to need them out in full force. There's no question they can impact the game. They did last week. It's shocking to me that such a cold game. I almost felt them more last week than I did earlier in the season, and so that was so encouraging to see. I know our guys fed off of it. Multiple guys made comments after the game, and we're going to need that here going forward.
And what have been your impressions of Jordan Love's play of late and how to affect him?
Yeah, I mean, they're hot right now. I want to say last 5 weeks, they're scoring points in bunches. He got after us pretty good. They had 8 possessions and they scored 4 touchdowns, and had multiple explosive plays. And so we're going to have to look to contain that passing game better than what we did that first go around if we want a chance to win this ball game. He's very difficult to get to. He does a great job drifting away from the pressure. I think they do a great job in their protection scheme in terms of looking to keep the pocket clean. They do a lot of the chips on the edges to slow down your edge rushers, and so you're looking for your interior to get a little push. But yet when you do that, he can still find a way to buy a little bit of time. And then he's got a knack with the speed that he's got at receiver of being able to float that ball out there, out in front of him, and throw him open. And so I think that's what makes him such a dangerous player right now. He's doing a really good job and playing at a really high level.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.